It was a tumultuous day in the history of Brexit, but more turmoil is likely to follow. On Thursday, several members of parliament resigned, only hours after Prime Minister Theresa May announced that her cabinet had agreed to the terms of the deal. The first and biggest blow was Dominic Raab, quitting after only 4 months as Brexit minister.
But we do need to change this.
And he's not the only one thinking this way. Resistance is coming from within May's own party, reducing the chances of the agreement being voted through Parliament.
It's 84 now and it's going up by the hour. We'll vote against it. It is therefore mathematically impossible to get this deal through the House of Commons.
And if that wasn't enough, May might be facing yet another challenge. Jacob Rees-Mogg, a vocal hardline Brexiteer, submitted a letter of no confidence against the Prime Minister.
But what we need is a leader who will say to the European Union, it is impossible to divide up the United Kingdom. It is impossible to agree to a situation where we have a perpetual customs union. This is not Brexit. This is a failure of government policy. It needs to be rejected. This is nothing to do with personal ambition.
May responded to the chaos with another press conference, demonstrating determination and dismissing calls to step down.
If we do not move forward with that agreement, nobody can know for sure the consequences that will follow. It would be to take a path of deep and grave uncertainty, when the British people just want us to get on with it. This is a deal which does deliver that, which is in the national interest. And am I going to see this through? Yes.
For May, the clock is ticking. Next week, she'll have to face EU leaders, and without parliamentary approval of the Brexit deal, her days as Prime Minister could be numbered.
All right, she says she's going to see it through. We're going to talk about that. I'm joined now by Sajjad Karim. He is a member of Prime Minister Theresa May's Conservative Party, and he represents North West England in the European Parliament. He joins us tonight from his constituency in Burnley. Mr. Karim, it's good to have you back on the day. I wanted to take a look at one of your tweets from today. You wrote, and it seems the entire Conservatives' Brexit movement are resigning en masse and in a coordinated manner abandoning their Brexit as it breathes its last. Maybe we can now get back to being a centrist party governing in the national interest. Do you tonight have any hope of that happening?
Well, good evening, Brent. It's good to be back on to your programme and have this opportunity to send a very clear message to your viewers about where we actually are at this moment in time. The tweet that you refer to makes it absolutely clear that the only people today that have resigned from government in the United Kingdom were people who were committed Brexiteers, but not just committed Brexiteers, they are committed to a certain type of Brexit, which is by and large people who were committed to a no-deal exit from the European Union. Now, that is not something which delivers the referendum result that the people of the United Kingdom voted for in the referendum. And by removing themselves from government, they now give us the opportunity to carry out a centrist and centre-right reform programme for the United Kingdom. And indeed, it leaves the Prime Minister now free of the shackles that these people had placed around her to try and get her deal through the House of Commons. I don't say that lightly. I know that that is a tremendous challenge that she sees ahead of her. And as I do the arithmetic, the numbers don't currently stack up.
And, you know, you strike me as being an optimist as well. The main Brexiteer still in government tonight, at least for now, is the Prime Minister herself. And we know that she was not a die-hard leave, you know, before she became Prime Minister. Can she deliver the Brexit that she's promising, the Brexit that you and other Conservatives would like to see?
Well, actually, Theresa May campaigned for Remain. She voted Remain, but she accepts the result that was delivered and has said that she will do her very best to reach the best possible deal in the circumstances. Now, bearing in mind, if you are leaving the European Union, it is an unrealistic expectation that you will have greater rights or the very same relationship and rights as what you have whilst you are a member of the European Union. The unfortunate thing is those who are making unrealistic demands today actually really expect to have a much better deal than what they had as members. Now, that is an unrealistic expectation that cannot be delivered. When one examines what Theresa May has actually negotiated, well, in the circumstances, I cannot think of what more could have been done by her or the European Union to deliver a situation that provides the best protections for European citizens and the best basis upon which our economy, both in the United Kingdom and in the European Union member states, can carry on in the least friction-affected way possible. So this is about as good as it gets. And if that's not good enough for these people, then they really have to be, finally now, this is their last opportunity to be honest with the people of the United Kingdom and say to them that actually our ideology dictates that we must destroy parts of your lives and parts of the economy in order to achieve our ideology.
Let me get you to take a listen to what Jacob Rees-Mogg said earlier today, this threat about coming out against Theresa May. Take a listen.
The Conservative Party referendum, on which almost all Conservative MPs stood, said specifically that we would leave the customs union. It did not have any small print saying, oh, unless we decide to have a backstop that is a permanent customs union that is harder to leave than leaving the European Union under Article 50.
Now, he's not alone in his opinion, and when I hear him and when I hear you speaking, it sounds like maybe the Conservative Party itself is headed for a split, and perhaps Theresa May's days as Prime Minister are numbered. What do you say to those two prospects?
Well, look, Brent, I'm not somebody that in any way tries to mask the political realities that are staring everybody in the face. There is today a fundamental split in the Conservative Party. There has actually been a real challenge facing those of us that want to be a centrist right political movement. And there has been a real battle taking place for the heart and soul of the Conservative Party. And what you are seeing today is actually that now being fought out at the very last stages through this Brexit process. And what Jacob Rees-Mogg has actually set out there puts in place a very clear contrast between the battle that is taking place between the two different viewpoints, one based upon ideology, one based upon pragmatism. But what he argues for, and what the people of the United Kingdom are now aware of, is that actually he is putting the unity of the United Kingdom at risk when he puts forward his arguments. Now, during the EU referendum campaign, when we made these very same arguments, they dismissed it as Project Fear. Now, today they have been absolutely unclothed in front of the British people. People like Jacob Rees-Mogg now have nowhere left to hide, and simply dismissing these concerns is not now going to work, because these have become practical realities that must be faced.
Let me get you to listen to what the European Council President Donald Tusk, what he said today.
The EU is prepared for a final deal with the United Kingdom in November. We are also prepared for a no-deal scenario. But of course,
I mean, is there any realistic chance of that? I mean, is there a scenario where Britain does not leave the European Union?
Well, there are basically three things that can happen on a technical basis and two on a practical basis. One is that there is a Brexit without a deal. One is that there is a Brexit with a deal. And then there is the third option, which is that there is no Brexit at all. Now, I do not believe for a second that there can be contemplated a Brexit without a deal. The disruptions and the consequences are just far too severe for any British Prime Minister to countenance, and certainly our closest trading partners in the European Union will do everything to avoid that as well. So I really do not see the circumstance arising, whereas a practical reality, the theoretical basis of delivery of Brexit on a no-deal basis comes to fruition. I don't see that. That leaves two options. One is exiting with a deal. Now, that requires for the House of Commons to vote and unanimously approve the acceptance of the deal that Prime Minister May has brought back. Now, currently, the arithmetic is far too challenging and it doesn't get through. That's quite clear. Whether that can change over time, we will have to see what the next few weeks brings. And the very last and final issue is one of no Brexit at all. Now, there are several avenues that lead to no Brexit at all, but of course, with there having been a huge public exercise through the referendum, there would need to be a further democratic exercise carried out that delivers a result which allows for a reversal of the Article 50 notification and the cancellation of Brexit. Now, that could take one of two forms, either a general election or my preferred choice is actually a people's vote.
Mr. Karim, unfortunately, we're running out of time. I mean, I'd love to talk with you longer, but unfortunately, we're running out of time, and I guess we'll have to see what happens in the next couple of days, and maybe we can come back to you to, to see if your predictions do come true. Zayed Karim from Prime Minister Theresa May's Conservative Party, joining us tonight to talk about the predicament that the Prime Minister is in tonight. Mr. Karim, thank you.